Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live pop-up chat, and we have three main stories that I want to get into today. One of them just literally cropped up that I wasn't expecting today. The other one is on topic, of course, this month because it is Pride Month, and the other is I will be giving my reaction to the BBC sketch. So, whilst I wait for people to come into the chat room, I will say it is Wednesday, the 26th of June 2019. Hello and welcome, and I hope you've all had a really fabulous day. So I'm going to head straight over now to the chat room and see who is in the house. Who's here? Who's joining me tonight? I do hope notifications are being sent out. Let's just take a look. Here we go. By the way, has anyone else's YouTube interface changed? Because when I play videos now, it just looks different. I just wondered if that was me as a creator or whether it's changed for everyone. Does it look slightly different? Hello to Adrienne and hello to Cranberry B, who both say hello. So I think it's going to be another slow build-up in terms of notifications going out. Some people didn't get them until way later yesterday, in fact. So I'm going to... I would kind of like a few people to turn up first, but I do have some proper official source links to send out, so I will be posting them in the chat room, and I will also try and include them once this video goes off air. I will put them in the main description, which is linked underneath. So if you're watching on catch up, you can either follow the link on the live chat catch up, or you can go to the description down below. Okay, so we're going to start with Meghan and Harry's African tour. So this is the widely speculated African tour. Now, just cast your minds back to how long ago? A month ago, maybe. Was it about a month ago when the rumours started circulating? Maybe it was a little bit longer, about this big, massive 6-month African tour. And I had to spend so many videos trying to kind of tell people, hey, calm down, wait a minute. We haven't had any official confirmation on any of this. We don't know what's happening. We don't know if it's going to be solo for Harry. We don't know if it's Harry and Meghan. We don't know if it's Harry, Meghan and Archie. We don't know if Archie's being left at home. We just didn't have any details. And there was all of this wild speculation about 6 months or, you know, even 3 months. And I was just like, just wait until we actually have some information. So the information that came through today was not actually from the palace, and I don't know if it was supposed to be released or not, but it was. So I'm going to post you the link as soon as I can find it. I've got loads of tabs open, and then you can go and listen to it, either now or when the video's finished. But I'm going to pop this in the chat room now. Wait a second. Right, I wish this interface hadn't changed, because now I can't find where my chat thing is. Hang on. Right, hang on just a second. I can't find how to post now. Look, my chat has changed, and I can't find where's my comment button. I don't have a comment button, so I'm going to have to refresh and see if a comment button will come up. I wish YouTube wouldn't change the interface, because then I don't know where I am. Okay, I'm not loving this new interface. Oh, here it is. It's at the bottom. Right, I've got it. So, it came when I refreshed. So there we go. YouTube, I'm not liking this new interface. So you should see the link popping up on screen now. Now, it's an audio, because there is a video, but the video on Twitter is actually shorter than the audio. So I thought I would give you the audio. And where's the story gone as well? Here we go. Here we go. So, addressing journalists at the press conference in London this morning, Commissioner Nigel Casey confirmed that new parents Meghan and Harry will, as speculated, embark upon a royal tour of the Rainbow Nation later this year. High Commissioner Casey said the trip would be a short one. So, gone are these, 6 months. It's going to be a short one. And in the link that I've just posted, you hear him very clearly say it will be around a matter of days, but he won't just be staying, well, Harry and Meghan won't just be in South Africa. They will be visiting some neighbouring countries. He didn't say which ones, but he will be visiting some neighbouring countries over those few days. So a few days, I mean, are we meaning 2 days or are we meaning 3 days? I certainly think it will be a minimum of 2 days, probably a maximum of 3 days. He didn't say whether Archie was going or not, but it seems to me like probably Archie won't go. I'm thinking Archie will probably stay at home, I think, because there was no mention of a family tour. So I think it's just Meghan and Harry for a few days in the autumn, which is actually the South African spring, I do believe. I do believe it's spring in South Africa when it's autumn for us. So yes, there is an African tour, but it's very short. It's only 2 days, and like I say, follow that link and you will be able to hear the whole audio. Of course, I like to give you source information where source information is available. Um, so what I'm reading from now says there has been speculation for a number of months that Harry and Meghan will visit a number of countries in southern Africa. Well, again, they haven't confirmed stops in Angola or Malawi, but definitely neighbouring countries are on the cards. And again, I will reiterate, it is unclear whether Archie will be going or not. We still need to wait for some official information on that. So the commissioner did have a little bit of a joke. He said, "That's great news for us." And I predict it's also going to be great news for the South African economy. I predict a hat and frock buying frenzy. Uh, hey, it might. Everyone may get their new frocks and hats. And there we go. And he also thinks that it could restore some economic growth all of its own. He says, "We're hugely looking forward to that, and thanks in anticipation for that and all the support that I know we're going to receive." So there we go. There is actually an African tour confirmed. Let's just see what people are saying, because we do have a few more people now in the room. We don't know about Archie. Hi, Sandy. Samantha says, "Nice getaway for a rest for a new mommy and daddy." It very well might be. Margaret says, "Hello, good to see you. Always good to hear real news from you always." I will post that link again, because just in case some people have already, some people might be late coming in. So I'm going to try and, there we go. I'll post that link again. That is a link to the audio where the High Commissioner talks about the trip. Now, like I say, I don't know whether he was supposed to reveal that or not. It's kind of unclear because we've not had an official kind of confirmation from the palace. But anyway, the High Commissioner would know. So definitely at least a few days. PP says it's like a second honeymoon. Vicky P says, "Did you guys hear about the $1 million driveway at Kensington Palace?" Yes, that was also in the financial report. All palaces and royal homes and, things that are under the monarch's control do get upgrades, and that is all included in the royal finances. The links I did post in yesterday's video, so do go and check those out. Oh no, Vicky P's not getting notifications. I knew they weren't sending out notifications. YouTube is being bad. Hello to Scott Goff. Okay, so that's basically it. That's all we know. We don't know the dates around it. We don't know specifically how long. The High Commissioner said a few days. So that could be 2 or 3 days, I'm thinking. We know they're going to visit neighbouring countries. Although we don't know which ones, and we don't know what the charities and what the work is going to include, but it's probably highly likely it will be something to do with Centre Barley, or things of that nature. So there we go. I think it's going to be a successful tour, and there is also talk, I think, of the Cambridges on tour as well. So autumn is going to be busy for the royals. So I'm going to give this story a nice big yellow fan flap, because I think it's nice. I think it's nice to have a bit of a getaway, and I think I'm really looking forward to that tour. Okay, people talking about the weather. It's cloudy here in the UK. Very, very cloudy. Now, the next story. As we know, it is Pride Month. And if you want to go and take a look at some Pride charities and different foundations and things, go and check out Meghan and Harry's Instagram account, which is Sussex Royal over on Instagram, because as we know, they change who they follow each month, and because it's Pride Month, they are following all Pride or gay, LGBT all the different letters that come after LGBT nowadays, all of those charities that they follow, you can check out if you wish to. But Prince William has been out today, and I haven't made a video on it yet because I've not had the time, but I'm going to read some information about his visit today, and then, more importantly, what he was asked and what he said. So, ahead of the annual Pride in London parade, the Duke of Cambridge visited... let's wait a second. He visited the AKT charity to learn about the issues of LGBTQ plus youth, homelessness and positive change. The AKT are enacting through their unique prevention and early action approach. And there's some beautiful photos of William, which I will make into a video at some point. The Duke of Cambridge met people supported by the AKT charity and spoke with staff about the services they provide, including the Purple Door, Safe House, LGBTQ plus host or carer services, in-person and online mentoring programs, and a range of youth engagement activities. The Duke officially opened AKT Charity's new services centre in Hoxton, which will host drop-in sessions for young people and grow its youth engagement offering. And there is a link to the AKT's website, which I haven't opened, but I will pop that in the link so that if you want to visit that, you can, and you can head on over and see exactly what's being said. So let's just pop that in here in the link. There we go. Look at me being all tech savvy for once. There we go. It's come up. And then we get to the next link which I want to put, which is from the BBC. And there is a video which I want you all to watch. You can either watch it now or later, because we're going to talk about... Okay, so here's the second link popping up now. This is the link to the BBC website, which has the video of William talking about... Well, he was asked by a journalist. He was asked by someone who was interviewing him how he would feel if any of his children turned out to be gay or part of the LGBTQ community. And Prince William responded very thoughtfully, I think. But you can go and listen to exactly what he said. I'm just trying to find the bit. Here we go. So, one young gay man who asked not to be identified asked William, if your child one day in the future said, "Oh, I'm gay," or "Oh, I'm lesbian," whatever, how would you react? So there we go. So William replied, "I've been giving that some thought recently because a couple of other parents said that to me as well." So obviously that must be a topic of conversation around the schoolyard, I think. "I think you really don't start thinking about that until you are a parent, and I think obviously absolutely fine by me." But William added, "It worries me, not because of them being gay. It worries me as to how everyone else will react and perceive, and then the pressure it is on them, or rather the pressure is on them." And I think he's referring to the ongoing, homophobia that still exists in the world, and the fact that people often feel like it's something that they shouldn't admit to, and they shouldn't necessarily come out and say and to be who they are. So it just highlights the fact that there is still lots of prejudice in all forms around the world. We're seeing it with race, we're seeing it with homophobia, we're seeing it with religion, we're seeing it with everything. So it just goes to show how much prejudice is actually out there, and William has been thinking about it, as have other parents, it seems like, around the schoolyard. So his words have been praised on social media by campaigners who believe his comments will be well received. One person's tweet said, "The wonderful thing is that Prince William is the sort of person that can and will help stop the bullying that children who are LGBTQ or a difference in schools and in society," which I think, that is one of the things around mental health, which the Cambridges and William in particular is championing. Well, actually, Catherine does it too, of course, with youth, but this is very important issue to highlight. Let's go and see what people are saying. LP says, yes, the worry, not that they're gay, I would be trying to protect. H.M. the King says, we're thinking what will happen if George was gay, or Louis, or even Charlotte. It could be any of them. It could be none of them. I'm not saying any of them are. But yes, it could be any, and not just George. But yes, if you're thinking in terms of George being king, that would be interesting indeed. But yes, that is a bridge that they would have to cross when they came to it. Interestingly enough, you've reminded me about one thing. They haven't actually got into place anything if there was this eventuality in terms of titles and styles, because what happens if a prince falls in love with a man and marries? What would the title be? At the moment, there is no provision for that. What would the husband of a gay king be known as? None of these things have been kind of sorted out. I think they kind of like to wait until things happen, but then I think that puts pressure down the generations in case anybody is, because it kind of highlights them because they're the one that's forcing change, which I don't think is very good. I don't think I'd like to be growing up knowing that I'd be the first one to make that change, because it kind of just, I don't know, it does put a lot of pressure. William's right, it puts a lot of pressure on that individual that is the first to kind of instigate that need for change. So I would like to see provision put in place now with regards to titles, not just for the royal family, but also for dukes and earls and sirs and, you know, all that kind of thing. I would like to see provision put into place now so that nobody has to be the first. It's just provided for that if you just happen to be, then that provision is there for you, so that you don't have to be the one that's there to make the big fuss, because some people don't like making a big fuss. Especially here in the UK, sometimes we don't like a big fuss. We don't like a big fanfare, apart from the Queen, who literally has fanfares wherever she goes. But no, so I do think they should put things in place. For example, you know, Sir Elton John, you know, he's been married to David Furnish how many years now, and David Furnish isn't entitled to any counterpart style or title because of being married to a man. That's perhaps quite wrong, really, especially when if Elton John would have been married to a woman, the woman would have been referred to as lady, and then David Furnish gets nothing. The same with like a duke or an earl, or whatever it might be. There is no provision. So I would like to see a change in terms of provision being made, just in case anyone happens to be. Maybe William might instigate that. Maybe that could be one of his things when he's Prince of Wales. Who knows? Deborah Grant says, looking good. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed day, everybody. Many love and blessings your way. Mwah. PP says, I completely agree with Prince William. They are royals, but even for us, it's the same. We just want our children to be happy and respect others on their choices. But will the others respect them? Well, yes, that is a thing. There is lots of ongoing prejudice in society. Desiree says, this is modern times. Statistically, one of them will be gay. I think it's still 1 in 10. I think statistically it's still 1 in 10. So unless William goes on to have, you know, literally almost a whole football team. But who knows? I mean, it could happen. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, it's already likely happened. We've already probably had gay monarchs that couldn't live that life. So they kind of chose to live against what they were actually feeling inside, which is sad. But then again, that is times of the past. So I'm hoping that would not have to happen now. Just going back up a little bit. Sandy P says, if Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle was built by the royal family, nowadays... Oh, well, it wasn't. Buckingham Palace wasn't built by the royal family. It was built by the Duke of Buckingham. Why does it belong to the state? Because everything was part of the Crown Estates, and it was given in exchange for the civil list. It's kind of what I spoke about yesterday, but now the civil list was scrapped, and instead of that, it's a sovereign grant which derives a percentage in arrears from the profits on the Crown estates, which gives the monarchy their income. But technically, the palaces and all that kind of thing are held in trust for the nation in exchange for that sovereign grant. It's kind of complex, but I hope I've just simplified it down a little bit. I did speak a little bit more at length about that in yesterday's chat. Okay. Right, I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Annette says, I don't think George knows what he... Exactly. I mean, it's way too young for anyone to really understand about themselves yet. Most definitely. Okay, Tash says, oh yeah, no, nobody is saying that any of... Oh no, right. Okay, let me clarify. My goodness. Oh, right. Nobody is saying that any of the Cambridge children are gay or lesbian. This is just a hypothetical situation. William was asked a question about his children, about how he would feel if they were gay or lesbian, and he replied. And that's what the video link that, in fact, I'll post it again just so that people can actually see exactly what he said. If you follow the link, there is a video in there which plays exactly what he said. So if you want to hear what the exact question was and the exact response in real time, do go and check that out. But nobody is saying that any of the Cambridge children are gay. Right. Annette says, if a monarch is gay, wouldn't the next heir be his siblings? Yes. Technically, if that gay monarch didn't have children. But nowadays, as you know from seeing lots of gay couples on the TV and in films and all kinds of things, it doesn't stop you from having children. So technically, I suppose, George could have a surrogate. Now, we've had lots of speculation about, you know, fake stories about Meghan having a surrogate, my goodness. But if there was actually an eventuality where someone needed to have a surrogate, whether it was a straight couple or whether it was a gay couple, that could be something with today's, you know, technology and science that could actually be explored. So as long as the DNA was from George, I think a surrogate or, you know, some kind of donor egg, whatever they do these days, could be used to create an heir. And as long as half of the DNA was from George, that child could most legitimately go on to be the next heir. So it depends how they approach it. Now, with terms with regards to adoption, again, I don't know how that would work. There isn't any provision for someone who is not of the bloodline to inherit, even if they're an adopted child. So I imagine that unless something was put in place, then if it was an adopted child, then it would go back up the line and go down the bloodline, if you like. So there are options in terms of children, if any of them was. But I would like to see things put into place, just in case, just so people know, you know, hey, if we did have, you know, 2 queens, if we did have 2 kings, what would they be called? You know, how would the titles differ? Would it be king and king consort? Would it be queen and queen consort? Or would it be queen and princess consort? Or, you know, would it be king and prince consort? There are lots of options, but I would like to have them clearly put out, just so that, you know, nobody has to be the first, because that's kind of, nobody wants to be the first. Geraldine says, hi Elliot, I absolutely love your pop-ups. I love and respect your truth. I love when you say I don't know instead of making up something. Well, we're all here to learn, and, you know, everybody learns and everyone learns from each other. And I think that's one thing that I have learned since talking to different people from different cultures and backgrounds online, is that you learn things, you know, some things that you just don't hear in your normal everyday life. Other people experience different things, and it's really, really good when we have the sort of community that can come together and share those ideas and voice those views and give people the opportunity to learn and to look and to have that input. Because sometimes if you don't have the input, you're never going to know. You're never going to have the opportunity to learn about other people and different people's views and lives and all the rest of it. Because I was thinking a lot about what is ignorance. And to me, being ignorant is when you have the input there, that people are telling you things, that there are things there, and you choose not to look. So to me, ignorance is when it's there and you choose not to look. But I don't think it's ignorant to not know something. I don't think people should be ashamed of not knowing something. If somebody doesn't know something, tell them, and that's what a lot of people do here. They say their opinions, and then you can give that person the opportunity to say, thank you for telling me. I didn't know that. I've learned something today. Thank you. Give someone that opportunity to learn. If they blank it, if they choose not to look, if they choose not to listen, that's ignorance. And some ignorance is not always bliss. But people shouldn't be beat up for not knowing something. So that's what I like about the internet, about YouTube, about my Facebook group, about the channel, is that everyone can learn from each other, and that's good. So yes, carry on educating people. Carry on being educators. Laurie says, I missed the beginning. Yes, I will recap very quickly for people that missed the beginning. The African tour is happening in the autumn. We don't know dates. It's going to be South Africa and some of the surrounding countries. We don't know which ones. And it's going to be for 2 or 3 days. They said a couple of days, but I'm thinking 2 or 3 days. And it's going to be Harry and Meghan, and Archie has not been confirmed. So there we go. Just to quickly recap. Shirley says, you're looking good today. I want to better look at your tiara. It's the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. There we go. Spiky. I like the spiky tiaras. They're my favourites. Scarlett's twin says, Charlotte would be heir to George. Yes. If there was no children, it would be Charlotte who would be next, and her line. Let's have a look. PP says, can you imagine if Archie grows up as a gay man? It would be fine for me, but can you imagine the press? Oh my goodness, yes. I mean, but then again, I mean, who knows what they would say? And anyway, that's a long way off. Aunt Kiki Baby says, I've got your name wrong, haven't I? Aunt Kiki Baby says, I feel that Meghan will be preggers again by the time of the South African tour. Who knows? Right, so just in case I've missed any. I just saw something that just made me laugh. There we go. Right, I'm going to just skip all the way down because I feel like we've covered that story enough and it's time to move on. So the remaining story that I wanted to talk about is a continuation from last night's video. So last night people were asking me, had I seen the BBC sketch? And I didn't know it was already out. So it is in episode 1 and it's the whole show. Okay, so I watched after the chat had finished. Oh, by the way, let's just backtrack again completely. So, what was I expecting from this BBC sketch that included Meghan? It's actually about Vladimir Putin and a chat show, but it had a segment on the chat show which featured Meghan Markle's Royal Sparkle. And yeah, exactly. So what was I expecting? Well, I read the interview of the lady who wrote it and voiced it, and let me tell you what I was expecting. So I was expecting to look at something that on the face of it looked one way, but I was expecting something that was clever, that actually had a deeper meaning, that was ironic. That's what I was expecting. I was expecting to come here and say to everyone, oh yes, well, it looks this particular way at face value, but then it has a deeper meaning, that it's actually trying to highlight what Meghan is going through. Did I get that from watching it? No, I did not. It was totally not what I was expecting to see at all. The whole show was not funny. I mean, it's supposed to be a comedy, and comedy is often, especially in Britain, I mean, one of the things that I think we like to pride ourselves on is our comedy and the depth of our comedy, and the fact that we can try and address lots of topical things the things that are topical, lots of really heavy issues can be addressed through comedy. And what Meghan is going through now in the press, I felt could have been an opportunity through the vessel of comedy to address those issues. They didn't do that. If they were trying to do that, it didn't pull off in any way. The entire show wasn't funny. The whole President Putin thing wasn't funny. I watched the whole show to try and put the Meghan sketch in context because I wanted to see how it kind of fitted into the show, to see if there was any kind of nuances there. No, the whole show wasn't funny. The Meghan sketch wasn't funny. The the Putin sketch wasn't funny. It was just not funny. It just missed the mark entirely. And it was a completely missed opportunity because I feel like the writer, who is actually Nigerian, was given a free rein by the BBC to come up with, a sketch and a parody. She totally missed the mark entirely. She had a real opportunity to actually address, through the vessel of comedy, what was going on, how Meghan was being treated. She didn't do that. Now, I don't know whether or not what her intent was. It's very, very hard to get inside the head of somebody else. And I do have a link, which I'm going to post in the chat room now, to a Harper's Bazaar article which features a little bit about what she said. So if you're wondering what she actually said, this is the lady writer and voice artiste who is actually Nigerian. There is the link to it, and you can read it and you can see exactly what she says about it. Now, if I scroll down to the bottom of that, she says the show was made in front of a live audience, so it required real-time reactions from the character. I reacted to events as they happened from the studio, and my movements and voice were transferred to the animated Meghan character in the exact same way as what is done with Vladimir Putin's character. If a character I chose to play happens to be angry in a moment, I'm okay with it. That's what she's saying. And she says, because black people and people of colour are entitled to the whole spectrum of emotions, being human demands. So I'm done censoring legit choices and feelings because someone might misinterpret me as an angry black woman. That trope belongs to the media, not to black women. So that is what she says. Whether you agree with what she says, I don't know. I mean, like, on the face of it, we all know now that when you portray someone as being angry and with the connection with with her being biracial, it doesn't look good. And I can't believe that the BBC, whoever vets these things, I can't believe that with what's going on with the treatment of Meghan at the moment, that was allowed to be put out, because at face value, it does look racist. It does look like they're having a go at Meghan. Now, if, like I said, if there was some kind of deeper meaning behind it that was clearly visible, that they were actually being ironic and taking, for example, a mockery of what the press is doing to Meghan to highlight a wider conversation, I could kind of get it. But I'm not getting that from that sketch at all. In fact, some people might say, well, hey, you're talking about it now, so it's worked, it's highlighted the treatment of Meghan. And I would probably say that's because we are interested, sorry, there's a bug, we are interested in Meghan and the royal family, so we are looking at it very intently. But if I was just the average person sat at home watching that on the TV, would I get from it that there's a wider issue? No. All I would get from it is that it's ridicule. So no, I just can't believe it was even put out there. Um, what else was I going to say? Oh yes, the one thing I didn't like as well was the colour of her skin. They darkened down her skin tone. Was that to try and particularly pay highlight to the fact that she's biracial? But that was not her skin tone. So what were they trying to do there? Were they trying to be tokenistic by having the Nigerian lady do the voiceover and the writing? Did the BBC have? Did they direct her in what they wanted? I think there's a lot of questions to be answered, and you know, I would like to see the lady who actually did the voiceover, wrote it. I would actually like to see her questioned, to see actually what happened. Did the BBC give her directions in what to write? Did they have an agenda? These are questions that need to be asked. And exactly, was she trying to be clever? Was it trying to be clever comedy? And did it just fail? And that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it failed. It was abysmal. It was horrible. And that is time that I am never going to get back in my life. So that's what I thought about it. Let me know what you guys think. So I'm going to kind of go up a little bit. Hang on. I'm going to go up to the bit where I started talking about it. Elaine talking about ignorance says, ignorance is when someone deliberately ignores the truth. That's what I'm saying. Okay, let's skip down a little tiny bit. HM the King says, the Queen could be lesbian for all we know. She may, who knows? Okay, right. Let's go back down to the comments. I'm trying to find the bit where I started talking about the BBC. Annette says, hope someone at the BBC reads it. It was shameful to Duchess Meghan's expense. GRN Willow says the show was horrid, just seems to have made some things worse. Elderly Poodle says the writer had the chance to make her spit out humorous press pounding and she dropped the ball. Yeah. Let's have a look. The chat keeps skipping down to the bottom. Right, I was trying to read Sandy's. Where are we? Where's Sandy's comment? Hang on. Right. Bear with me a moment. Okay, Sharon Hill Walker said, I just read articles that highlighted some of what was said. It was just awful. I felt really bad for her and it was bad taste from the BBC. It was. The worst part is the BBC isn't apologetic. No, they tried to defend it. They did. Fabulous One really says, well said. What a wasted opportunity. Yeah, and I have what I was trying to say yesterday was that I like parody comedy. I like skits. I like sketches. It is a bit of a tradition in the UK to do that. But usually, and especially by the BBC, they do have a good track record in terms of comedy. Usually they put out things that are clever. So I was expecting it to be clever humour. And it just wasn't. And one thing I would like to say is I have no problem with people, coming up with celebrities or famous people and using them as a vessel to tackle a wider issue. But that was not done here at all. PB says, I didn't see the sketch and honestly I don't want to see it. You will never get that time back, seriously. Let Lady Gloria says, correct, she had the opportunity but she didn't. That was the sad part. Elderly Poodle says, when an audience member reads a question of a card, it's not real. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, and then, they tried to depict her as, I think it was, do you remember when she first came on the scene, Meghan, in terms of the royal, her relationship with Harry, and they had the whole straight out of Compton thing. They would try, it was the whole ghetto, I'm going to, do that to Catherine. you know what was said in it. It was so blatantly, what it was. It was just awful. The Jay's Tear says, if that what the actor feels, then this was more about her than about Meghan. again, I think she needs to maybe face just some more questions about it. Actually really drill down on what her intent was, what she actually meant. Adrienne says she basically played into the stereotype. Mm-hmm. H.M. the King says, watched a bit of the sketch, but it was too boring to even continue watching. It wasn't good. Becky Ray says, there have been a few of us that have filed a formal complaint with the BBC about the Markle spot. Oh, and that was another bit. It annoyed me. She was prancing around with a wand with the Markle spot. A million of these. This times a million. Scott Goff complained online. Shining Star says, very well said. You have come so far in understanding the reality of life for women of colour. Please understand that I am not saying that in a patronising way. No, and it goes back to what I said before about learning and about what ignorance is. And it's not ignorant to not know something. It's ignorant to ignore something when it's there. But if you don't know something, then you can't be blamed for something that you just don't know. Elaine says the BBC sketch was very cringe-worthy. It was not funny. They used a black woman to portray racism on another woman of colour, and that's what you got. Sandra Harris says, I'm sorry, I don't agree with the comments. The writer of the sketch said in the article that she, the writer, totally played into the narrative that the press has been putting out for the last 3 years. She was very dismissive of that. She was trying to be, I suppose, unapologetic about her stance on it. That's what I got. Becky Ray says the BBC has sunk to a terrible low. Aunt Kiki Baby says we are entitled to the full spectrum of feelings, but it's also racist code language as well as all the black women are angry. The Daily Mail gets so much heat for nothing. Sharon Hill says, but she portrays Meghan as angry. Quite frankly, African women do not understand the media depiction on African American women. Caroline Foster says, do you remember Spitting Image that took the out of the royals and politicians, etc. And that was so funny. That's what I'm kind of talking about, the cleverness behind it, because if comedy is done, and in particular sketches and skits and spoofs and satire, if it's done in the right way, it can be funny, and it can also highlight wider issues, uncomfortable issues. You know, comedy has been used for years to address issues that people are not comfortable about talking about for whatever reasons. They missed an opportunity big time, and just the whole show wasn't funny. So yes, I'm going to skip all the way down to the bottom. The J's here says, I know this is a serious topic and it's upsetting, but fan flaps give me the giggles every time. A bit of levity to this madness. Well, yes, they can have a million of them. So there we go. How are we doing for time? Right, 43 minutes. I need to go and get my dinner on. It's nearly 10 to 8 in the UK here, PM. So I need to get this uploaded properly and get some dinner on the go. So we've addressed 3 stories today. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have enjoyed it, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and also hit that notification bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. And don't watch the Markle Sparkle, because you'll never get the time back, my loves. So from me in Shropshire, goodbye.